Chapter 14, the Arcturian Healing Technique explained. The Arcturian Healing Technique can be applied to release past traumatic experiences as well as to address triggers that arise in daily life. Once you have identified the traumatic event that left an unwanted belief, feeling, or emotion within you, and identified the person you have interacted with at that time, you are ready to proceed with the Arcturian Healing Technique. So get ready, find your trauma, find your trigger, and identify the person you believe you have to work with in order for you to heal this trauma. In this chapter, I'll guide you through the Arcturian Healing Technique as taught by the Arcturian healers. The AHT, Arcturian Healing Technique, is a powerful two-part method that fosters profound self-healing by addressing not only our relationships with others, but also our connection with our inner child. The first part of the AHT involves the interaction between your higher consciousness and the higher consciousness of the other individual involved in your past traumatic event. For clarity, I will refer to the higher consciousness as HC. If this is your first encounter with your higher consciousness, it is important that you make contact with him or her before you engage in the Arcturian Healing Technique. You will find a self-guided meditation that helps you get in touch with your HC in the chapter titled Meditations. This meditation establishes your relationship with your higher consciousness, ensuring a smoother visualization process during AHT. Once you have encountered your higher consciousness once, you will not need to practice this meditation again. Your higher consciousness will show up once you set your intention and you start the process of visualization. Now, imagine the best version of the other individual, regardless of your current terms. Visualize their higher consciousness at its most divine, recalling them at their best or acknowledging their inherent divinity. I suggest that you try to remember a happy moment that you shared with this person, maybe a side of them that you admired, a talent that they had, a part of them that made you smile, or anything that would inspire you to step into a higher frequency while you start your Arcturian Healing Technique. Ideally, when you focus on the positive aspects of the other person, you might find yourself naturally smiling, which will automatically raise your frequency and aid in your healing. But I understand that in some cases, smiling might not feel easy. This is when we can turn inward, connecting with a divine part of ourselves, and remember that we are all one. Each person's higher consciousness is simply another expression of the same divine presence within us all. The reason you visualize the higher consciousness of the other person is because it can sometimes feel difficult to say, I love you, I am sorry, or even to offer a simple hug. But embracing their higher consciousness feels different. It allows you to love them in a way that transcends personal challenges. Knowing that their higher consciousness is part of the same divine tapestry as yours makes this easier, reminding you that at this level, you are already one. Once you've visualized both higher consciousnesses in their fullest, most radiant state, imagine them gently approaching each other and exchanging the words, I love you. In this exchange, they honor a shared respect and recognize the divine presence that each one of them represents. Next, visualize each higher consciousness gently expressing, I am sorry. This isn't about revisiting the painful event, but rather about releasing the disruptive energy it created and accepting mutual responsibility for the misunderstanding. What was misunderstood? You both saw each other as enemies rather than as profound teachers. Then envision them embracing warmly, symbolizing forgiveness and unconditional acceptance. Finally, visualize both higher consciousnesses affirming water under the bridge, signifying the letting go of the memory that caused harm and the frequency it represented. Like water flowing under a bridge, never to be seen again, the past is left behind, transmuted, and forgotten. With this reconciliation, imagine them parting with goodwill as your higher consciousness wishes the other, may you go with the light. The second part of AHT is centered around the practice of Ho'oponopono, and it is directed at your inner child. This ancient Hawaiian practice, as detailed in Joe Vitale's Zero Limits, involves repeating 4 healing phrases. I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Rather than explaining the Ho'oponopono practice as described by Joe Vitale, I will share the interpretation taught by the Arcturian healers, which was integrated into every therapeutic session I experienced. Begin by acknowledging your inner child as the purest form of your being, untamed at birth, but gradually shaped by life's external influences, by the programs and conditioning that was imposed on you by parents, teachers, religious organizations, media, society, and education. Recognize that the traumas and beliefs burdening you are not intrinsic but imposed, akin to viruses corrupting a computer's pristine operating system. In this healing interaction, you are affirming your responsibility, not guilt, for these imposed beliefs, fears, and limitations, and you recognize your power to release them. Ultimately, you forgive yourself for misunderstanding your divine nature and your oneness with others and the universe. You forgive yourself for believing that you are separate from the divine creation. In this context, the essence of forgiveness is not centered on absolving others who might have wronged you, but on forgiving ourselves for believing that someone wronged us. The truth is that each individual who crosses our path mirrors aspects of ourselves and brings lessons that are essential for our soul's evolution. Every interaction that challenges and triggers us reveals unresolved traumas that shape our interactions throughout our entire lives. And as Carl Jung famously said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. It is worth noting that if these traumas remain unresolved, we repeatedly encounter similar characters in our life's narrative, and therefore we unconsciously remain trapped in the same cycle of pain and suffering. Forgiveness extends beyond mere acceptance of what is. It involves appreciating these individuals for their role in our spiritual journey. And once we understand that life happens for us and not to us, we recognize the profound sacrifice their soul has made to embody the villain in our story, and they become a catalyst on our soul's evolution by teaching us vital lessons about ourselves. One of the quotes that profoundly changed my life is Albert Einstein's outlook on the nature of the universe. The most important decision we make is whether we believe we live in a friendly or hostile universe. This truly became the most significant choice I ever made. I decided that the universe is on my side, supporting my growth and success. The alternative would have meant seeing my past in shadows and facing a future covered in dark clouds. What kind of dreams or visions could I nurture if I believed the world was against me? Choosing to see life as happening for me rather than to me was the turning point that shifted me from a mindset of victimhood into one of empowerment, where I took ownership of my actions and claimed my role as the creator of my life. This decision allowed me to view every past experience, no matter how painful, as a lesson. In doing so, I recognized how each event helped me become a stronger and wiser human being. If this is your first encounter with your inner child, I have prepared a guided meditation located in the chapter titled Meditations. For my own inner child sessions, I find comfort in embracing a pillow, imagining it as my younger self, whom I lovingly address as my baby girl. This method may be soothing for you as well, especially as emotional healing can often stir deep feelings within you. Below, I will explain the significance of each of the 4 phrases you will use during your self-healing session. While these phrases may seem straightforward, I'll share the insights exactly as I learned them during my transformative 2 months therapy abroad, the Starship Athena. The first phrase you will say to your inner child is, I am sorry. This is what you are acknowledging when you make this statement. I am sorry for believing that this person hurt me. And in turn, I hurt you, my inner child. I am sorry for assuming that anyone has the power to harm me, which inadvertently caused you pain. I am sorry for believing to be separate from the source and perceiving others and as adversaries meant to bring hardship into our life. The second phrase is, please forgive me. This means forgive me, my beloved inner child, for involving you in my turmoil throughout my life. Forgive me for not recognizing the divinity within you sooner. Forgive me for not connecting with you earlier and striving to meet your needs. The third phrase is thank you. This phrase suggests thank you for never giving up on me. Thank you for always trusting me to come back and love you the way you deserve. Thank you for always loving me and for always whispering to me what the right thing to do is. And the final phrase, and this one might be self-explanatory, I love you. When you speak these words to your inner child, you are not just saying I love you, but you are giving this child the words he or she needed to hear when they grew up. What you are saying to your inner child is this: you are perfect, you are beautiful, you are amazing, you can do no wrong, I love you. It is crucial that you engage deeply with these phrases in a heartfelt dialogue with your inner child, embodying each word until you feel a profound release, often accompanied by a physical sign like a sigh of relief. This sigh of relief signals that your inner child has forgiven you and you have healed that specific trauma you just worked on. Finally, ensure to revisit and nurture this relationship with your inner child regularly. In my personal practice, I kept a photo of myself as a little girl on my nightstand and saved it as the wallpaper on my phone. Every night, I'd say goodnight to her, and each morning, I'd greet her with a gentle good morning, baby girl. As I glanced at the photo, and each time I picked up my phone, I was reminded to engage lovingly with my inner child. Another practice that strengthened our bond was reconnecting with specific foods, drinks, or games that I enjoyed as a child, allowing me to nurture that joyful, innocent part of myself. It's important to remember that each of these healing practices plays a vital role in your soul's evolution. Embrace them with reverence and grace. Each session, every small act of love, is a step towards reclaiming your true self, a celebration of your progress, and a cornerstone for the ongoing transformation that unfolds within you. Chapter 15. Healing in Practice, Applying the Arcturian Healing Technique. In this chapter, I will guide you through a practical implementation of the Arcturian Healing Technique as taught to me by the Arcturian healers. To illustrate this, I will use the first traumatic event I recalled when we began working together on my healing journey, a painful memory involving my ex-fiancé. Before I left Romania, he had betrayed my trust, and when we met again 2 years later, I responded with a sarcastic thank you. This example will serve as a foundation for understanding how you too can apply Arcturian healing technique to heal from your own experiences. While working with the Arcturian healers, I was telepathically guided through each step of the process. While I felt like I was in control and I knew what I was doing the entire time, each moment was intricately designed to teach me the art of self-healing and ultimately to equip me with the tools to guide others on their own journeys of healing. First step was to imagine my ex at his best. I didn't consciously decide to bring up the best image of my ex. Rather, it was telepathically shown to me as if I were following a script that was already within me. Despite his betrayal, I recognized that his higher consciousness was as divine as mine. I was met with memories of his most appealing qualities, the things that I appreciated while we were together, his sense of humor, his smile, his kindness, and his vibrant spirit. I could see him in his favorite red jeans, walking with his signature swagger, showing off his collection of belts. This whole image brought a smile to my face, and any lingering anger or judgment towards him softened, leaving space for me to envision his higher consciousness in its highest form, just as I envisioned my own. Once I visualized our two HCs face to face, I imagined my higher consciousness speaking the first words, "I love you." I immediately felt true, unconditional love flowing between our souls, unencumbered by the painful events of the past. My ex's higher consciousness responded with, "I love you," created a field of mutual elevated frequency of love, compassion, grace, and even a sense of amusement, as if we both realized how silly our human counterparts can be sometimes to believe in the notion of separation. Next, my higher consciousness said, "I am sorry," acknowledging nothing other than the misunderstanding, the belief that I was ever wronged by my former partner of life, belief that either of us could truly be separated from Source or one another. The HC of my ex responded with, "I am sorry," indicating the same understanding of the illusory nature of life and how human beings separate from one another by seeking validation outside of themselves. Next, I imagined the two HCs embracing in a warm, heartfelt hug. This was a symbolic gesture of surrendering to the truth of oneness and letting go of the past pain between the two of us. Finally, my HC said, water under the bridge. And his HC mirrored my statement, signifying that the energy tied to this event is being released and has no longer power over me. And finally, as my ex's HC walks away, my higher consciousness gently wishes him, may you walk with the light. With this release, I moved on to the second step and turned my attention to my inner child with the understanding that I am responsible for the way I interpret everything that takes place in my life. By choosing to believe that I was hurt by another person, I wasn't just creating a sense of separation from him, I was also creating a sense of separation from the Creator. It's important to note that revisiting the painful event that caused the chasm between you and the other person is not recommended. What matters is forgiving ourselves for the belief that we could be hurt by someone else. By shifting our perspective and letting go of the past emotions that weighed us down, we open ourselves to growth and healing. I envisioned myself hugging my inner child and gently spoke the first line of the Ho'oponopono prayer. I am sorry. I am sorry for believing that my ex's intention was to hurt me. I am sorry for not recognizing that everything that happens in my life is in divine order, meant to support my soul's awakening, and I am sorry for ever believing that someone else could diminish my worth. Then I lovingly told my inner child, please forgive me for exposing you to so much emotional turmoil for so many years. Please forgive me for allowing the pain to linger this long and for not seeing your divinity sooner. Then I said, thank you. Thank you for never giving up on me, for patiently holding on to the hope that I would one day see the light and awaken to the truth of who I am. Thank you for your strength, your resilience, and for waiting until I was ready to embrace you fully. And finally, I spoke the words, I love you. I love you exactly as you are. To me, you are nothing short of a miracle, a beautiful eternal light that has always been within me and has always guided me. Once I expressed each of these 4 sentences to my inner child, along with their full meaning, I began repeating the shorter version. I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. While visualizing myself holding my inner child with love and compassion, gently and softly, feeling each word resonate through us both. With each repetition, I sensed the frequency of this prayer building, reaching a point of deep resonance within my body. It was as if my very DNA, the core algorithm of my being, was starting to heal and realign. And suddenly, as I was immersed in this powerful mystical prayer, a profound sigh of relief rippled through me, releasing the weight of pain I'd carried for years. In that moment, I knew that my inner child and I had reached a place of perfect harmony regarding this old traumatic event. Throughout this entire process, remember to let your words sink in fully and visualize each encounter driven only by love and compassion. Imagine your inner child receiving your love and gradually healing from the wounds they have been carrying throughout your entire life. Trust the process, knowing that with patience, enough repetition, and the release of any expectations, healing will always unfold. It may take time for the process to bring closure and for you to feel that deep sigh of relief I mentioned, But as you continue to practice and align more closely with your inner child, you'll find that the journey becomes smoother. That sense of peace you long for will begin to arrive after just a few repetitions.